Good morning, UPBAOptionMillionaires.com. A couple hours before the opening bell on this Tuesday, August 22nd, 2017. S&P 500 futures a little higher this morning. They were a little higher yesterday as well. Pulled back after the opening bell. Pulled back after the opening bell on Friday. And pulled back significantly after the opening bell on Thursday. Continued to the downside. We have yet to pierce the highs that we saw on Friday's session. This market's still trying to recover. NASDAQ futures are actually pretty 0.4% higher here. The S&P 500 futures only up a little over 0.1%. Small caps still struggling a bit, so the market's just not out of the woods yet. But the good news is you survived the eclipse yesterday. Yes, if you're listening to this, actually, you could be listening. You might not be able to see it, assuming you wore your special glasses. But yes, we survived the eclipse, which was supposed to crash the market. Hey, maybe it's going to crash it. A year from now, we'll blame the eclipse. I've got no idea, but every single reason to sell this market has actually been a reason to buy it. So we'll see S&P 500 futures if we can break here the highs that we saw on Friday. That would be pretty bullish for a recovery from the pullback that we saw last Thursday. Small caps, we got to watch small caps. Also the dollar yen. If you look, dollar yen this morning also up 0.4%. You can see trying to work its way up, and this is the highs that we saw on Friday, the spike up. So we see weakness in the yen should help to boost the market. It has done that since November 2012, when Abenomics was launched. The market was pulling back. Abe Shinzo launched Abenomics, and the dollar-yen cross is up some 50 pips. Actually, it was up more than that a couple years ago. So just keep an eye on also the VIX as it continues to melt lower off its highs that we saw last week. In the previous week, I actually put in a lower high so far. The VIX is down over 3.5% this morning, 1270. We know it hit 884 a couple weeks ago, so volatility is certainly up. It was widely talked about how boring and dull this market was. It's not so dull anymore and boring, so that's good news. We can get that clickbait off. It was the eclipse. That was the clickbait recently. That's going to crash the market. We had another trigger of the Hindenburg omen. Wow, that's worked out great. Just about as good as calling the top for Alibaba back in 2014. Yeah, that's worked out well. Alibaba, Bob is actually up over 170 this morning. And you can see it actually moved over 170 early yesterday. This morning, it's up over the 170 level, possible open at new all-time record highs. So let's go over some charts here real quick. One of the charts I was looking at, Shake Shack yesterday came up against support, heavily shorted. Over 50% of the float is in the hands of short sellers. And actually, they're starting to cover a little bit. It's actually declined a bit from the last report, which is good news. If you're looking to go long the stock, you see the short start to cover. That's going to help put a bid under the market here, and we see it long-term trend line support back to 2016. We could see a move up here, and if we break out, possibly put 50 into focus. So that's Shake Shack. This morning, Macy's is up near the 20 level. You can see long-term breaking down, but this round 20 figure could see a bounce back up maybe to the 25 level. Some of these retail names really been beaten down. Could see a possible bounce, at least in short-term target, back up to the 60 level. It's at 56.56. And also Kohl's, which is long-term, back in the channel. Possible breakout as it did back in the middle of 2016 up to the 47.50. Possible $10 move. But look at Amazon, which is held yesterday at 950 level. You can see it's up the trend line support of this breakout that started at the lows in 2016. Held support, possible move back up to 1,000 this week. I was looking to possibly get calls yesterday, but it's Monday. We get a little bit of a premium erosion today. Hopefully Amazon pulls back a little bit at the open. We see the morning weakness has ultimately ended in afternoon strength when the market starts turning around. So that's something to keep an eye on. Also, Google's gapping up a little bit this morning, held that 920 level. Long-term support here at 900. If it doesn't get there, we can look over the 1,000 level for Google. Netflix pulled back yesterday as well, and you can see this candle here. This is on the last month was the move to record highs, and this month starting to pull back, giving up some of those gains. But overall, the trend remains to the upside for Netflix. Facebook, I talked about this trend line. This goes back to its IPO. Look at this trend line. Beautiful trend line, respected support. Look how far it's broken away from this trend line. They would have to drop $40 almost to get down to this trend line. Support right now still looks rather bullish. Possible move to 200, just like BABA. I think the move to 200 now is almost in the cards. But again, the difficult part's going to be trading it. Let's look at some earnings reports. We have Cree reporting earnings that leave after the bell today. Long-term support is where it's at, and this is make or break for CRE. We got a lot of consolidation back after the internet bubble, also some consolidation after its move up after the 2009 lows, financial crisis. This is the longest bout of consolidation here for CRE. It's right near support, possible launch up into the 30s. There's a lot of shorts also in CRE. CRM reports earnings. A lot of these charts is continuation patterns. Possible move over 100 for Salesforce. If you look just on a shorter term basis here, look at that wonderful flagging pattern. Similar chart for Intuit, which reports earnings after the bell. Nice flagging pattern. Long term trend remains to the upside. Look at this beautiful flag pattern. And you could look for a move possibly over 140 after earnings. All right, UPBOptionMillionaires.com. So what we're looking for, small caps. I keep bringing up the small caps, lagging a little bit. Look at small caps, the breakdown that started 2016, ultimately moved to the upside. It was just before the election. Talked about this yesterday. Small caps led the way out of the election doldrums, the nine consecutive days to the downside. IWM was the first to move, the small cap, and here we are again. A nice pullback. You think, hey, this is the end of the market. I think small caps might be a good trade here. The move back up swiftly into the 140s and possibly new all-time record highs for small caps. And then also keep an eye on the VIX, which has been beaten down. If you look at the VIX, every kind of spike to the upside gets beaten down. We're starting to see some pullback here for the VIX again. We're down 4% this morning. The only unusual part about this most recent move up a couple weeks ago, and then the continuation last week, we had Korea, and then last week came really, pretty close. Usually you get that move up to the upside for the VIX, and then it takes sometimes weeks or months before it spikes again. This time it was less than a week, so that's a little bit of concern. But as long as we see that meltdown, we possibly could break under 10 heading into September. Wow. I mean, it'd be something after what we've gone through the last couple weeks. And set the market up for a continuation of the melt to the upside. UPBOptionMillionaires.com. Have a great trading day. I'll see you in the chat room.